15 pupils were on their way to school on a cold Monday morning in their school van, and suddenly they were ambushed by a Toyota Camry. And bam, 4 men came out, each of them holding large weapons, and they entered this bus and directed the vehicle to an unknown location. This news spread like wildfire across the nation, especially for the people of Aba in Abia State, where this incident had happened. The news created fear among the people of Abia State, and the person who claimed to be responsible for this was no other than the dreaded kidnapper at the time, called Osisikankwu. Osisikankwu, who was 35 at the time, had lived in Niger Delta, where he was an ex-militant, and moved down to his home city in Ogwati, the Okwa West local government of Abia State, to set up camp. It was reported that he recruited 3,000 criminals to carry out his bidding. Imagine, 3,000 criminals to carry out his bidding. From 2007 to 2010, Osisikankwu and his gang terrorized the people of Abia State down to Oyibo River State. Apparently, there were a lot of criminal cases and a lot of kidnapping cases happening during that time. And one of the major incidents that happened was a case of a gynecologist, popularly known as Dr. Stanley Uche. He had a popular hospital in the city of Aba called Victory Christian Hospital, and this hospital was famous for their high successful birth rates. So everybody knew Dr. Stanley Uche, and he was famous for being a gentle person and his good nature, and people loved him all through Aba. But apparently Dr. Stanley and his wife were traveling out of Abia State when they were ambushed by men of Osisikankwu, and these people forced them into a car trunk and took them to an unknown location. Dr. Stanley's wife was later released to go and get the ransom of 30 million naira so that her husband could be released. Apparently, she went out to her family members and tried to gather the sum of 30 million naira as her 2010. Eventually, when she was able to raise the amount, she contacted the kidnappers and gave them the ransom, only for them to give her a location where her husband was. And on getting to the scene of the location where her husband was, alongside the police, they found the lifeless body of Dr. Stanley Uche there. This not only broke her, but broke the people of Aba. The city of Aba became a city of fear, and everybody there trembled. I recall my mom coming home in tears, crying bitterly when she heard the news about Dr. Stanley Uche being killed. He was not only just a good doctor to my mom, but he was also an old friend. So you can imagine how the news was very devastating to a lot of people, especially his family at that time. Osisikankwu and his gang members continued terrorizing the people of Abia State up until December of 2010, when Nemesis caught up with him. You see, the police had been trailing Osisikankwu, tapping into his phone calls, but they were never able to get hold of him because he was always shifting camps. Apparently, he kidnapped a family, and the man to which his family was kidnapped was able to escape Osisikankwu's gang, and he ran to the police, feeding them the information of where Osisikankwu's camp was located. The police then laid an ambush to which they called Operation Jubilee and went on with their men to ambush the campsite of Osisikankwu. It was said that they hid in trees for over 3 days, waiting for Osisikankwu to show up, and this led to a shootout between Osisikankwu and his gang versus the JTF. In the course of the exchange, Osisikankwu lost his life alongside 2 members of his gang named Polycarp and Chinedu. Polycarp died instantly during the shootout, but Chinedu was rushed to the military hospital where he lost his life. After the exchange of gunfire, the JTF was able to rescue 13 victims, including 6 girls from the age range of 14 to 16, 4 children, and 3 men. As for Osisikankwu and his men, their bodies were paraded all around the city of Aba and later dumped in front of the teaching hospital for passers-by to see. The news of Osisikankwu's death was a wave of fresh air among the people of Abia State, bringing a sense of peace and relief to the people of the city. As for the 15 children that were kidnapped earlier, they were released later in good condition by the kidnappers, with no record of any ransom being paid. Up until today, the era of Osisikankwu was considered one of the most dreaded area of kidnapping in the city of Abia State. Kudos to the JTF for coming through.